Texas Attorney General just escapes multiple felonies today on Rational Lunatic Media. Brought to you by Rational Lunatic himself. Now, this one shows how for one Texas is different, how for two how the government kind of works for itself, where people of certain standing, not even law enforcement can touch. Because this guy, honestly, when you hear what he was facing, um, I'm pretty sure they had to have had somewhat substantial evidence to even arrest this guy in the first place. Should be going to prison. But somehow, some way, nope, nope, no. Literally, pretty much being like, not even slapped on the wrist, just, patted on his hand lightly, like, just be careful. Be careful next time. But before we get into that, real quick, hit that like, subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date on all my latest content. If you caught the last video, I know it was really long and a lot to read, so if you bear with it, you bear with it. If not, no worries. We get to start fresh and new with this one. If you are on TikTok though, and this video goes a little bit too long, jump over to YouTube. You can catch the full content there. And if you want to know about real disgusting pigs and judges and officials doing real disgusting things, jump over to my Patreon, link to my YouTube. $5 a month, members only. Get my not safe for life news. Yeah, stories that you should want to know, should want to talk about, but a lot of you may not have the stomach for. Completely understandable. That's why it's only on Patreon for members only, $5 a month. With that being said, though, let's get into this one, shall we? Let's go. This was written by the Texas Tribune. Wait, I think I got diverted. I did. Somehow I got. Alright, still. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Just give me a whole nother report. Ken Paxton, the Attorney General, agrees to community service paying restitution to avoid trial in securities fraud. Hope I'm charged for this. In securities fraud case, Paxton, who will not have to enter a plea under the terms of the agreement, faced the prospect of decades in prison if he had been convicted of fraud. And much more, but we'll get into it. Houston, Texas. Prosecutors on Tuesday agreed to drop the securities fraud charges facing Attorney General Ken Paxton if he performs 100 hours of community service and fulfills other conditions of a pretrial agreement, bringing an abrupt end to the nearly 9-year-old felony case that has loomed over the embattled Republican since his early days in office. The deal, which landed 3 weeks before Paxton is set to face trial, also requires him to take 15 hours of legal ethics courses and pay restitution to those he's accused of defrauding more than a decade ago when he allegedly solicited investors in a McKinney technology company without disclosing that the firm was paying him to promote its stock. The amount of restitution totals about $271,000, prosecutor Brian Weiss said. Legal experts say it's rare to pursue jail time in securities fraud cases like Paxton's. Paxton, who will not have to enter a plea under the terms of the agreement, faced the prospect of decades in prison if he had been convicted of fraud. His status as a felon based in part on an opinion he issued himself would have likely barred him from running for office in the future. Paxton's attorney, Dan Cogdell, said the prosecutors, quote, approached us and Paxton was, quote, happy to agree to the terms of the dismissal. Of course, you go from facing decades in prison to, oh, community service and pay back people I defrauded? No problem. Quote, but let me be clear, at no time was he going to enter any plea bargain agreement or admit to conduct that simply to conduct that what simply did not occur. Cogdell said in a statement, quote, there is no admission of any wrongdoing on Ken's part in the agreement because there was no wrongdoing on his part. The deal is the second major win for Paxton in roughly the last 6 months, after the Republican-controlled Texas Senate acquitted him last fall of 16 impeachment charges centered on allegations that he accepted bribes and abused the authority of his office to help a wealthy friend and campaign donor. Still, Paxton's legal troubles aren't over. His agency continues to face a lawsuit brought by 4 former top deputies who argue that Paxton improperly fired them in 2020 for reporting him to the FBI. Those whistleblowers told law enforcement that they believe Paxton was using his office to benefit Austin real estate mogul Nate Paul, the charges that formed the basis of Paxton's impeachment last year, and that are the subject of an ongoing federal investigation. He has denied all wrongdoing. The securities fraud case, meanwhile, has been repeatedly delayed by disputes over where the trial should take place and how much the special prosecutors handling the case should be paid. They've delayed this trial for 9 years on arguments of where they should have the trial and how much the special prosecutors should be paid for it. Are you kidding me? Make that make sense, man. The legal saga dates back to July 2015, when Paxton was indicted on 3 felony securities fraud charges last month into his first term, just months into his first term as the state's top lawyer. Paxton said he and his family are, quote, relieved to finally have a resolution to a matter that has caused them, quote, ongoing stress for around a decade. Quote, there will never be a conviction in this case, nor am I guilty, Paxton said in a statement Tuesday, calling the case a political prosecution. Yeah, bullcrap. Two of the charges, first-degree felonies, stemmed from allegations that Paxton persuaded investors, including a then GOP state lawmaker, to buy at least $100,000 worth of stock in a tech startup called Servergy, without disclosing that he would be compensated for it. Paxton will have 18 months, the length of the pretrial deal period, to pay restitution to the former lawmaker Byron Cook and the estate of Joel Hochberg, a Florida businessman who died just last year. Weiss said he is, quote, not necessarily opposed to dropping the charges before the 18 months are up if Paxton makes the payments sooner. He said Paxton cannot use campaign funds to pay restitution. Paxton was also accused of steering clients to a friend's investment advising business without registering with the state securities board, a third-degree felony. He has maintained his innocence and framed the case as a political motivated witch hunt. Really? Really? Quote, this case has been pending longer than the Beatles were together. Literally, it's been 9 years, and today marks the end of what, in our opinion, should have happened a long time ago, Cogdell told reporters. The terms were revealed at a brief hearing Tuesday morning before Harris County State District Judge Andre Bill Paxton, District Judge Andre Bill. Paxton, who attended the proceedings, betrayed little emotion and spoke only to be sworn in and confirmed that he agreed to the deal. Weiss said he had been, quote, besieged by a torrent of phone calls from people who have expressed their monumental displeasure with the fact that these cases are being resolved with a pretrial intervention. Yeah, because they know it's garbage too. Touting that restitution Paxton now owes to his alleged victims, Weiss said it was more important to secure justice for them than to pursue prison time for Paxton, which he said should only be a priority if the defendant poses a threat to public safety. Not, getting in their pockets ain't public safety, lying to them and costing them, what could be their life savings ain't public safety. Yeah, right. And what should be uh, important is putting him in jail and making him pay restitution, not either or. He shouldn't go to jail or pay. He should have to do freaking both. Pay the victims back and spend time in prison for what he's done to these victims. Just because he's a lawmaker or because he's a general attorney general, doesn't mean garbage. You know what I mean? That's crap, man. Didn't that make you furious knowing that if a civilian did that, federal cases up the wazoo, you'd be doing 20, 25 to life for that. Quote, I appreciate your concern, Weiss said of those criticizing the outcome. With all due respect, your truth is not the truth. You know 1/2 of 1% of what fellow prosecutor Mr. Jed Silverman and I know about the facts of these cases, and the fact that all of these people have registered their monumental displeasure with what happened in these cases, I submit probably should have been directed at the ballot. Sam, shut up! At the ballot box. Paxton will perform community service in Collin County, where he resides, with an, quote, entity or organization agreed upon by both sides. Weiss said likely a, quote, food pantry or soup kitchen. No, that's right. That's right. They have to do community service. He will also be required to check in with prosecutors every 60 days to ensure he is fulfilling the terms of the deal. The case could still resume and head to trial if... And I ran out of battery. But yeah, basically, they're letting the guy go. You know what I mean? That's what they're doing. They're giving him community service and making him pay back a couple $100,000, which he's still attorney general. Guaranteed he makes probably more than that a year. I don't know. It's just infuriating. This guy can defraud people. He even abused police officers. I mean, I'm not for most police officers anyway, so whatever. Not really worried about them, but the fact that they have complaints against him, and because what sounds like to be decent officers in this case. Like I always say, there are some good ones out there. I have met a few, and it sounds like there were 3 that were decent, and they tried to expose him. You know what I mean? And what did he do? He used his power to get them fired. All 3 of them. Coincidence? Nah, man. I think not. Seriously. But make it make sense. I don't know. If it infuriates you like it infuriates me, let me know in the comments. Honestly, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. Like I really would. With that being said, though, if you made it to the end of me. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you with all love and due respect. Thank you so much. And as we always say, until the next time. Well, first, today's a beautiful day. Get out there, have some fun, go get some sun. And until the next time, stay healthy, stay free, y'all, and stay wild.